everybody, and welcome back to another edition of the Positively Awesome Wrestling. Where, as right down here below on the banner, I got the banner this week. I'm ready for it. We're going over the Survivor Series because we usually talk about our favorite things of the past week. I think we both can agree that our favorite thing happened last night. It was definitely at Survivor Series. If it wasn't Survivor Series as a whole, hello, babe. Thank you for joining us as always. Good to see you and looking good, babe. Let Ty know he looking good too. Don't single me out. Don't do that. Good evening, gentlemen. Good evening, David. Glad to see you again today. This is 2 times me and David gonna be chit-chatting about some wrestling today. But with that, we're just gonna jump right in. Survivor Series. I want you to go ahead and grade it for me before we jump into it. On the 5 scale, how are you ranking Survivor Series last night?
I can't put a number on something that I love. No, I'm joking. Because of that, I'll say, yeah, it was about an 8.
Okay, 8 out of 10. Okay, that's fair. I think I gave it 8.5. That ending did it for me.
Yep.
I won't talk about the negative. Jimmy Bebe is truly best. Bebe Blades. That's right. Go get you some Bebe Blades at Walmart and Target and all local retail suppliers. That was one of the things I didn't like about last night. I thought it was just really weird. I know I see what they're trying to do. They're trying to do a different kind of promotion there. It was a terrible idea. Whoever pitched it should be suspended or something. That was dumb. I was like, what's up with his Titantron? What's going on? The things are just bouncing around. I was like, that doesn't go with this music. And then I saw the Baby Blades. I was like, no, they didn't just do this to Austin Theory, man. They didn't do it to him. But it is what it is. I don't think they'll do it again. That's for sure. No. I definitely don't see it do it out of 10. David said he gives it a 7.5 out of 10. So me and him aren't that far off. I think had the one match, again, I won't name it, I won't be negative. I'll just say if the one, I was prepared for the one match to be what that one match was. I think we all know what that one match is that I'm talking about.
Yep.
It would have probably gotten a much lower grade had I been expecting something more. But because I got exactly what I was expecting, I'm not gonna shit on the show. I think I was thoroughly enjoyed. But U.S. title Beyblade spinner belt incoming. I think he should do a spinner belt if we're being completely honest. Especially, see, look at that. That thing is sick AF, bros. Sick AF, bros. Totally Titan stuff. If that's the man he is going to be fighting at WrestleMania, and he's doing U.S. Open challenges like John Cena did at WrestleMania, why not give him a U.S. title spinning Beyblade nonsense? Why not?
They better pay him a couple $1 million to make him do that.
That's why they did the ad on his Titantron, the Beyblades. That's the money they're going to use to do that. You know, that was a great idea. What a great business idea. And there you go. David says he'll say the name. I won't say he's wrong. I'll put it that way.
No.
But I will point out one thing in that match because I see a lot of people hating on Shotzi and they keep pointing to the one spot where she did the DDT to the apron. How dare you, people?
Yeah.
If you watch it, it's very clear that Rhonda had no thoughts of taking that bump. She said, I'm going to hold on to this top rope as long as I possibly can. And made Shotzi look foolish.
It did.
I'm not saying Shotzi's the greatest wrestler in the world, but I think she looked pretty decent last night. Not women's title championship decent, but that one thing is going to stick with people because of how bad it was, but it wasn't her fault. It just wasn't her fault. Enough for that match. It's gotten too much time already, though. But like you said you gave it an 8. I gave it 8.5, and David said 7.5. So we're all relatively in the same ballpark. But now you look like you were like, oh man, I can't grade this show. It was so good. I can't do. Okay, well now I'm gonna put you on the spot again. What was your favorite part from the show? I already know.
Yeah, you know, man. It's Jey Uso hugging Sami Zayn, man.
It was a beautiful moment.
Picked him up and everything. God, it's everything it should be, man. It's the culmination of everything going. It's either we're gonna kick Jey out, Jay's gonna, we doubt it, gonna accept Sami, but I thought that was better because what's better than everybody accepting him and then him being forced out for some weird reason?
Yeah.
And it ain't his fault. They just turn on him, and it builds sympathy. Like, man, why are y'all doing that? He didn't do anything wrong. That's gonna push him catapult. And I thought it was the best scenario instead of just kicking Jay out or just turning on him now.
Yeah.
Even though I would have took a turn on now, but they just found a way to make this, as you say, it's continuing. So I get more of the Bloodline story for another couple months. I'm happy.
So I don't know if you caught this or not, and I don't mean to rain on your parade.
It's okay.
But on top of this, I couldn't find, like, I tried to save it and it wouldn't let me for some reason, so I couldn't show the picture. But I did see a picture on Twitter that I didn't notice of them all standing in the ring afterwards. They were doing the ones.
Hands up. Yeah.
Everyone's in a good, except for Solo. Solo's still just doing this, which I think is very interesting. I don't even know what to think about it, though, because I don't know if it's just his character or if there's something underlying there. Not sure. But I do think it's interesting that while they're going, we're the ones, he's like, street champ. But there was a moment after we did We the Ones where Jimmy and Jay are looking at Sammy. Everybody's happy, you know, Christmas morning with the family. We're all in such a great mood, right? Roman kind of did this look. I got to take these glasses off so you get the full effect. He looked over to the side and he gave Sammy this look right here. Almost like, let me put these back on real quick. I'm blind without them. Almost like Roman is like, I don't care that you just helped us. Your days are still numbered. That's the look I got. That's what I got from the look.
When he hugged him, it had the same look. When he hugged him, when he came and talked to him,
yeah,
and he hugged him, and then his face kind of went to the side.
Yes. So
like,
I thought I totally forgot about that look, but then you just remember me. But yeah, it was the same look, and I thought, like, okay, Sammy's done tonight. I thought that look solidified it to me. I said Sammy is done tonight, but that wasn't the case. And it was like, oh shit, Sammy went a little bit further than I thought he would tonight, and he is like full on. And then I see that look, and I'm like, oh man. And there's a saying, the day is always darkest before the dawn. Well, I think we're going to reverse those words real quick, because for Sammy, I think the day is brightest, or it's always, I don't even know how to rephrase it in the way that I want to, so I'm going to stop myself right there. I think it's going to be the exact opposite. I'll put it that way. I think Sammy, again, he got that moment where he's like, I did it. Yes, Roman accepts me. And I think SmackDown this week is must see, because my thought was last night Sammy would get pinned by Kevin Owens, and then they'd have doubt. And it was after Sammy fully accepted them and got with it. I thought that was the plan. I still think we go that route here based on that look alone, because Sammy did it and he got accepted by the one man who's been doubting him this whole time. And then Roman says, in a moment where they're all supposed to be happy and supposed to be celebrating, we did it blind. Roman's giving him that look instead of, that's interesting. I'm starting to catch more of these little, I have to, because of how intricate the details are for some of these things the Bloodline have been doing. I'm paying more attention to a lot of these things, and I'm noticing, like, again, the Solo. And one more thing I thought was interesting, sorry, but
okay.
When Jay was talking to Paul Heyman, I don't know if I'm looking too far into something or not, but when he was talking to talking to Roman last night and telling him, Sammy, he did that. He's doing it. Paul Heyman, maybe I don't know, but I definitely think I'm pretty sure I saw Paul Heyman staying back there with the titles, and he's smirking about it.
Mm.
Why would he be smirking about someone possibly pulling one over on the tribal chief? That's interesting. I don't know what it could lead to. I don't know if I'm just starting to see things because I'm so invested in this stuff, and I'm like, what are they going to do next? What's happening? What kind of trickery? I just know something's coming, and I'm trying to, I don't know. But I think all three of those things are extremely interesting. One of them, I'm throwing a bunch here, and one of them has to land at some point. All three of them have very interesting ways they could go. Sorry, I rambled there for a little bit too much. But he said, Davis says maybe Solo is the one and the one that carries on the bloodline. Maybe. Yeah. That's very a possible. When Roman eventually loses and leaves, and say the Usos are still in part of the bloodline, Solo could just be the guy that steps up and does that. And then when Roman comes back, guess who's ready for a feud? A big time feud. Oh, Solo Sikoa and Roman Reigns. That would be huge for Solo. So that ain't a terrible idea.
Well, he turns on all his family, so
just to
he's
get
done
this
it.
before we go too much farther. Shotzi works much better in a chaotic style match. Yes, absolutely. Tag match for not a tag match, chaotic, not the kind of crap they tried last night. But yeah, I agree with that 100%. And also, David points out this Solo is the odd man out at the moment with no belt. Yes, this is very true. I could start to just go with my theories here. No, I don't want to because there's so many at this point, and I'm just enjoying. I'm gonna just sit back and enjoy the ride. That's all I'm gonna do at this point. I will say, and we'll get to that later. I'll leave it for later. But anything else you want to add to it? I feel like I cut you off again.
No. I like to hear it. So, what I've said before, and I'll say it a million times. I'll say it differently. My favorite thing about a person is sincerity. Like, say there's a sincere, like a young kid. Like, oh, he's being really sincere. He likes, driving cars and stealing cars and doing dumb shit and having fun with his friends all night, whatever that entails.
Yeah.
And when he talks about it, he can be very sincere about it. It doesn't mean I enjoy it. Now, there's a sincere, mature person, like very mature in his own way. I'm trying to picture the whole thing about Stone Cold in that interview telling him to put that mask on, and that he learned his facial expressions because he can be. And the idea behind that is you can be free behind a mask because no one can see your expression, so you can be like, that's stupid, and you can have a dumb face on about it. And eventually, over time, you feel very comfortable with just kind of emoting or being yourself. You would have a way to. So, and he said that helped him back then. What I'm getting at is that whether it was him telling Roman that, no, I'm for you. I won't let you down tonight or any night. And, looks like he's about to tear up. I think he's genuinely a mature, sincere human being.
He for sure is. Yeah, definitely, for sure.
That's kind of what I talked about with what's his name last night, but I didn't have enough time to talk about it. He's like, well, Seth Rollins on a different level. I was like, that's a different kind of wrestler. But let me tell you why I like Sami Zayn better in WWE, and he's my favorite. It's because Kevin Owens used to say, I can run. He talked to Stone Cold and he said, hey, man, never stop running your mouth.
Yeah.
So you'll see Kevin in the ring talking all this shit. So it makes it extra entertaining.
Yeah.
You see him heckle the crowd, talking about how much his royalties are worth and stuff to a random dude.
Yeah.
And that's just my t-shirt alone. And he's like talking all that. But what happens when you can't talk and you're in the ring? It's going to be your facial expressions.
Yeah.
That tells so much. And, in a conversation or in a passing by in a movie, no matter what, I feel like I'm getting a conversation with him at all times.
You feel like you have
at that dude's face.
You feel like you have a genuine connection with his character over anybody else.
Because I get the conversation's always going on here.
Yes.
Even when he's not talking. I said last night, I wish he would just talk all the time. I would always listen. But I'm getting so much from this as well. I mean, it completes wrestling in its own way. It's a fool.
I'll liken it to what I was saying about MJF, the switch he did when he was pretending to be a baby face, but then he ended up going back and heel and crushing my hopes and dreams. But when he was a heel and he was playing the baby face, he was the exact same character. He wasn't doing anything differently. The only thing differently was that he was, instead of speaking at the audience, he was speaking for the audience. And I think that is something that separates him from pretty much everyone else. And with Sami Zayn, I feel like what's elevating him more than anybody else right now is that he used to perform for the audience, but now it doesn't how do you word this? I don't know how to do it again. So
he's more working for
he
himself. He's
he
being
switched
himself.
it from being just a performer for the show. It feels like he's a performer for you at this point. There we go. I found the wording for it. It's not like I'm tuning in to watch wrestling. I'm like, okay, I'm tuning in to watch a show, and then when Sami Zayn comes on, I'm like, okay, what you got for me? And
for me,
you're there. You feel like you are there with him, and I think that I think that's what you're trying to get at least in my viewpoint of it, is what if I was to make an argument that Sami Zayn is better than Seth Rollins, I would say that would be my argument for it, is that Sami Zayn does that thing that Seth Rollins doesn't do, where Seth Rollins is still performing, and I love it, and he is the best, but the Sami Zayn thing, it's the connection you have. And yeah, speaking at someone, speaking to someone are two completely different. Yeah, exactly. And that's why when he's a heel and he's speaking at them, you're like, boo this man. But when you're speaking to someone, they're like, yeah, they get behind you and they rally and they cheer and they're like, yeah, this is our guy. And that's what I'm getting at with the speaking to. It's not a performance, it's an act. That they're the differences. But I'm with you with the Sami thing. The connection is there, and that's why I rank this the best thing on television, bar none, over everything right now. Like any show you want to shoot my way and try and tell me it's better than this stuff I'm getting from Sami Zayn and the Bloodline, I'll slap you. Like, it ain't worth my time.
Think about a household show, like, I don't know, the Brady Bunch or something, and or what is that one with the Fonz, old school stuff. But there's a main character who you think's not the main character. He is definitely feeling like it's always been like he's the main character. What are we gonna do when we put him in this situation? What are we gonna do when he's over here doing this? It's about him. The Bloodline's the environment, even though they are of course characters, and Roman's the biggest deal there is.
Yeah.
But I'm tuning in to see what Sami Zayn's gonna say, or how Jay's going to react to Sami. Is Jay going to hug him? Is Jay going to get along with him? So in that point of view, the arrows are more important towards Sami for me.
And just another tidbit to add to it, which is spot on. God, Sami is more relatable than Seth as a character. I look at Sami and I look at Seth. If I saw them in public, I would be more. Sami is a more approachable person to me. He has that Mick Foley factor, the Daniel Bryan factor to him, where they just look like relatable people that you want to really get behind. And when they're really performing at the level that he's performing at now, you feel like you're part of it. And you're like, yeah, this is one of us. This is our guy. I think that plays a lot into it. And it's why Eddie Kingston at AEW works so well, because he speaks to the audience and they feel what this man is saying. I think he rambles a lot like me sometimes. So I don't rank him as highly as most people, but I believe every single word that man says. I truly do. And that's why Eddie Kingston works.
But the sincerity thing I was saying was, when he's silly, he is truly being silly.
Yeah.
His face is showing that.
Yeah.
Whether he's telling a joke about my dog or Uzi in the sky with diamonds, that was ridiculous shit. And
or he's pleading to Roman to believe him because, dude, I do not take this lightly. Like, he checks every single box.
Like he can do it all, man.
I think Emmys
Hollywood,
are the ones for TV shows. I think Emmys are the awards that they have for the TV shows. I think that God, what was that? Get off there.
A slammy.
I think Sami Zayn should be considered for an Emmy for his performance over this past year. And it sounds like a funny thing to say. And it is kind of funny to hear it. But I'm dead serious when I say it, because he's been that damn good. I don't think I've ever seen a performance by a wrestler that was been this damn good, because he goes from this to this to this. Like, he can switch it week to week and it's still just damn good. So give that man an Emmy, man. Give it to him. I ain't even joking with y'all, ABC, NBC, whichever one of y'all punks run that. If it was Fox, it'd be cool because it would happen. But I agree with what you're saying, David. We're all on the same page here. And I'll say this: if me, you, and David are all on the same page, I think it has to be legit, because we are the three most different wrestling fans on the planet that just have an understanding of each other. Um, but since you took that, I'm gonna go ahead and say my favorite part from Survivor Series last night was, and this would surprise some people because I did love the triple threat match. I loved it. The ending I thought it wasn't executed to perfection, but
Spear his ass, Bobby.
Yeah.
Spear him.
It wasn't executed to perfection, but I liked the idea. And had it worked perfectly, I'm going to rank that match a hell of a lot higher. But I still enjoyed it because it was fun from start to finish. And we got, I didn't know who was going to win it. I really didn't. I took a wild guess. I went with Seth. It made the most sense to me. But Austin Theory won it. I jumped out of my chair and ran around the backyard. I was like, he did it. Oh my God. And then sat my butt back. And just for the viewers, I did not like run out of my house to do that. I was watching outside. I didn't run out. I'm not that crazy. I'm not that crazy. But the Finn Balor versus AJ Styles match was awesome. I see a lot of people kind of downgrading it. I've heard some people say it was absolutely terrible. And I loved it. Like I really did. Before we go there, Bobby whiffed bad on the spear that was supposed to be decimate Seth. Exactly. The execution wasn't there, but the idea, I just loved it. And speaking of mask, they love the calls to New Japan from Finn and AJ on the entrances and the match style too. Yes, that at first I didn't get AJ in the mask, and then it was like, oh, the whole story kind of behind these two is the club that was started in Japan. Okay, I get it now. But the match, the pacing, I'm a big fan of pacing in wrestling. I don't like ding, 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 balls to the wall. I like a slow start, mess with each other a little bit, especially in this kind of feud. It works perfectly when you're just trying to play mind games with the other person. And I really felt like they were trying to one-up each other. Like 100%, it was deeper than who's going to win and lose. I really want to upstage you. And that's what I got from this match. Finn, I think he could have sold the leg a little bit better throughout the match, because when he was getting beat and he started to come back, he'd be like, but then throughout the rest of his offense, he'd just be like perfectly fine. But he sold it for a good part, so I won't knock on it too much. It's literally the only thing that kept this from being a perfect match to me, is that he didn't sell it more. But again, the pacing, it starts off slow, mind games, and it starts to picking up a little bit. Then they start going back and forth. I'm going to take your finisher. You're going to take my finisher. I loved it. And then the finish completely surprised me. I know a lot of people are like, AJ has to win, but they were basing that off of like the fact that the stat came out earlier this week that he hasn't won a pay-per-view match in like 2.5 years or something like that. So everyone's like, oh, AJ has to win. I think that's mostly why people thought that. I truly thought Finn needed to win.
I did too.
But he lost, and he did. It doesn't matter. I don't think Finn's any weaker for it. I think he just put up a match. The leg injury, I think, helps with that, because like, if my leg got not hurt, this is a different story. And him not tapping was important. He couldn't tap, even though they built up to it. So that was really good. It was fantastic. The Finn AJ was a more New Japan style match, so it's not something that WWE crowd is used to, so it luckily threw them off. And I do agree it was more of a New Japan style. I can't say it because I don't watch enough New Japan. I just know all the New Japan stuff I watch is kind of like, the pacing is always a lot quicker, but I don't watch a lot. So maybe I just haven't seen that and over there. So I don't want to like knock the whole thing. It was the hardest match on the show, and there was a cage just for the opening. I won't agree with that one. I think the women's match had a lot more hard hitting things in that match. Not the men's one, but the women's one definitely did.
I like the women's better.
That's interesting. We'll get to that. We'll talk about that. We have all show. We could talk about that match. But yeah. So I like that I was surprised, even though I knew it was going to be a good match, but they gave me something that I was not expecting, I guess, in the way of how they got the great match, if that makes sense. They didn't wrestle a normal style, so I was thrown off by what they were doing, and it was really, really, really good. I would like to see more of it, if I'm being honest. because I like different styles throughout shows. And if you're gonna give me a new style and wrestle more like that, I'd appreciate it. What this match also taught me, I would like to just throw this in as well, is that I finally figured out the difference between a wrestling match, a great wrestling match because of the moves they're doing and the athleticism, and a great match because a story is being told and it's not relying on a cheap trick. I think the ones where it's just an acrobatic, a Young Bucks match, I'll just go ahead and say it. I don't care. It's not hateful. It's a fact what I'm about to say. The Young Bucks matches rely on a cheap trick of false finishes because they have so many of them, and it can build up the anticipation. Like you can be like, this is the one. Oh, this is, you can. But when you do it every match, I think I've finally cracked that code of what drives me crazy about their matches. I don't mind it at big show matches. I don't mind it every once in a while, but every time you're in the ring, it's kind of like, oh, come on, man. But so this match did not rely on that at all. I don't think they made that many pinfall attempts, and when they did, it was because they just really hurt somebody. I've watched it. I don't hate that match. I don't rank it as highly as others, but I've seen it. Oh no, okay, never mind. That's a different match. I have not watched that one. I will. Yeah.
Ospreay.
I was thinking Omega Okada for some reason. I don't know why. I'm sorry, folks. But I think that's another. Again, I like that one because it built up to something, and it wasn't a false finish. It was like it just ended, and it ended properly, I guess.
I definitely say they were definitely like one-upping each other,
yeah,
because those forearms were getting thrown heavily at many parts, and you're right, the pacing, like towards the middle, forearm would come really hard, he'll turn around, half a second later another forearm's right back in his face. I think like in the beginning he said, come on AJ, we were boys or something like that.
Yeah. He was on the knees like, we're boys, AJ. yeah.
So yeah, it was getting heated, and that's like the beginning of it. You can tell AJ's about to bring it to his ass.
That's another good point, is Finn just adding that to the thing, because he was pleading with AJ at that moment, but then the second things went in his way, he says, "Oh, you like that, AJ?" And he starts to straight up talking shit to him, and that's just it's funny, but it's not. I don't catch it in the moment, but I'm catching it now. I'm like, that's hilarious to me, and that just adds to probably why again I ranked the match so highly. It was really, really good. But yeah, that was my favorite part, since you took the Sammy part, because obviously that's what we were gonna say. Because look at this relatable man. How could you not?
I'm all about the story, man. Like I like. Oh God.
No, you good.
But I like the story. Like it was all about the story for me at the end. I mean, like I feel like I had a good night besides the one match. I did wish Bobby would nail that spear. And then they were like, oh no, but if he nailed the spear, I mean, he's carrying another man. I was like, it's Austin Theory. He's made of muscle and rubber. He'll be fine. He can take hits.
Yeah.
He'll be fine. Like just hit him, Bobby. I think Bobby was a little bit off, or maybe he was like, oh shit, what if I don't know what happened. So I really enjoyed that. I kind of enjoyed the men's war games. There's some parts where like, we're all gonna do the beats to the ball drum at once. I'm like, it's a bit much, but
that was my only complaint in that match, is that I heard some people saying they loved it. So whatever, if it's added and people enjoy it, cool beans. I'm sure at the show it would have been something we were like, yeah, because I think it would be a cool visual
show, and I had a couple
person.
Beers yeah, maybe.
Yeah. It didn't translate, but yeah, sorry. Continue.
But that's why I really enjoyed the women's war games. I felt like everybody that stepped in whooped ass immediately when they got in there. Even Alexa, man, she was drop kicking the shit out of people. I think Mia Yim too. Some of the stuff they did, like
Mia Yim did that cool as hell Hurricane Rana toe hold on Dakota, I think it was, right into the trash can lid.
Exactly. The way she did it really quickly, and I'm thinking, did Dakota like grab her ankles to hold her for 1 second?
It was crazy.
Shit. She must have the forearms, ridiculous strength to do that. And then the part when she jumped through the ropes,
the double rope suicida or whatever they call it.
Was badass.
Sita.
I mean, I felt like it was because the first time I watched it, I was trying to do the watch along and talk to them. This before I joined it, because I'm starting to watch it towards the end, so I had to go back and watch it. And I was like, I felt like it was all right. I watched it again today, and I was like, this is excellent, actually, very, very well done. Rhea came out looking like a monster. Bianca took quite a beating when it was 2-on-1. Like, dude, it's so good.
I went like this when the EO did the moonsault off the top,
Yeah,
and they caught her, and Bianca knee buckled underneath her because
I was scared.
Her foot got caught, her knee went forward, and then her back went, and I was like, that's a tear, because just but from the way she was screaming and everything.
Yeah,
I don't know if she legitimately got hurt for a moment, and then she's fine. I don't know if they're holding off the injury because it's serious, or if she was just selling the shit out of that.
I think she could have been selling it because, dude, when she got hit with the kendo sticks, that first hit, she wails like a bandit.
Yeah, she does wail, but that was a different kind of scream with that knee. It was like a oh shit scream.
That's what I thought too.
And then she did the KODs to people, and I was like, oh, okay, she's probably okay. Then she did Bailey, and I was like, yeah, she's probably okay. But then after the match, when they're celebrating, she was down on that knee at first, and they had to kind of help her back up. So if she's still selling, beautiful job, Bianca, because that's been probably your biggest flaw. And that's not a knock. She's awesome. She's amazing. But I've always thought her selling could be a bit better. And if that's what she was doing, thank you, Bianca. You are the EST of that shit for sure. Because I honestly believe she's hurt.
I was convinced she was, and like I didn't think I'd be like, oh no, Bianca. Like I was actually worried. I'm like, yeah, it got me more than I thought. That shit sounded real.
David said the women's had more action and a bad finish. Men's had more story and a better finish. Absolutely 100%. And I think that's the difference between. I think we're talking about it today on the pod, the Wrestle Buddy pod. That's what was it? The women's match didn't feel like a faction versus faction warfare. It felt like it kind of was a story between 5 girls, and they just added 5 more to fill it out. That's what it kind of felt like going into it. Some of it made sense, but it was like it didn't make enough sense. Whereas the men's one made so much sense because of all the people involved. Every single person in that feud makes sense. And I forgot what was this right here, what I was saying. So when you have an actual like thing, I guess the story, that's why I think the finish comes off better for the men's one, is because the story is involved in everything. Yeah. Because it was climactic. It was climatic, but it was kind of just like, we see what's coming. After Sammy kicks Kevin, we see what's coming. So the finish is like, okay, that's it. I don't know.
He also grabbed his arm, and it's like, okay, well, he didn't kick Kevin off or hit Kevin or restrain Kevin. He grabbed the ref's arm. So then it makes you think for a second, okay, is he still hesitant? And then, the low blow comes. It was beautifully. And then like Jay's there, and he's holding Kevin after that haluva kick, and then drops him. And then he motions to Jay, and Jay's just looking for a second. He's like, all right, I'm going to do it. He goes up, does it.
Damn,
it was a nice setup to the story.
Yeah. I think that's why that's just why the finish is better. I don't have a problem with the women's ending. I know David's thinks they could have had someone else take the pin, but who you want to do it to Nikki, this character that you've just reintroduced? No, you don't do that to her. I don't think. Mia Yim. Oh no, not Mia Yim. Rhea Ripley. No,
she's on a roll.
Bailey could have taken the pinfall, I guess, here, but
then that's Bianca and Bailey who, that's pinned her, and I don't want that for Bailey right now.
And then I think that kind of makes Bianca look a little weak here. That Becky had to come in and pin Bailey for her. I don't think that's the way to go. Yeah, Bailey getting pinned there, I don't think works. Now that we've just figured that out, thank you. You connected the dots in my head for me. So Io or Dakota makes the most sense because we see them eat losses already as the heel team, and I know, but they don't as the tag tag champs, but when they weren't, they took some losses, and so we've seen it. It's not that big of a deal for them to lose.
I
That's
think
why I don't have a problem with one of them taking the loss.
And even in the mingling of the matches, of the match that was going on, besides they had 2 ladders, they only really used one. So the other ladder was kind of there, and every time they threw them into the ropes, you would see a girl kind of bump and try to avoid the ladder and kind of hit it on the way down when they throw up against
Alexa got thrown
Alexa.
against the cage and had to fall down into there, and
that ladder, yeah,
thankfully,
a little too close.
Yeah, thankfully she literally landed between the cage and the ladder, and she was fine, because that could, not expecting it definitely could have broke her arm or something. So
yeah,
thankfully.
But my thing was Nikki was yelling, "You think I forgot? You think I forgot?"
Yeah.
Starts hitting on Alexa. And I was happy Alexa came out looking strong. She was beating the shit out of people when she first got in there. It was pretty aggressive, so I liked it. And then you got Becky at the end taking out basically Damage Control with the ridiculous, awesome leg drop going through the table, which is, I went back to watch it twice, even reminded it. It's still pretty goddamn cool to see somebody go from that high. And then, so Bayley's next. She just basically finished them off, so then she can probably go towards Bayley. Nikki Cross is obviously fighting Alexa. They're already talking shit to each other. So then, at least, that's kind of there. I mean, you still got Mia Yim and Rhea that need to finish this stuff that they've been starting. Yeah. And those were definitely 2 of, like, that were really hitting hard in that whole match. So that Mia Yim didn't look exactly weak to Rhea when she was beating some ass too. The only one left is like Bayley and Bianca.
Yeah.
But Bayley's probably gonna be fighting with Becky. Then what's next which was my question. Then what's next for Bianca? Bianca's saying that she wants to fight Charlotte, or what was the other one she said?
I don't know. I have not watched their presser. I've just seen a few clips of it. I didn't see what she said.
Yeah, hers was Charlotte, and Becky says she wants to get to fighting Ronda.
So
with all the swerves going on, because I felt like this whole Survivor Series was a big swerve for me. I mean, I saw you say that Triple H has done one thing with these PLEs, way less predictable with these swerves going on. I mean, we didn't get Sasha. I thought for sure this would be a great time for Sasha to come back.
To be fair, at this point I don't think she is coming back. And if she does, it'll be very, very, very far down the road. But they never like teased anything about Sasha. And
that's true.
I know that if it's surprising to me that more people aren't ripping them for it, because that seems to be what they do. They build up these ideas in their head and then they get mad. So, but it was nothing to do with anything WWE, because they didn't promote her at all. But I do want to point that out about it, because it
that's fair.
They shouldn't get credit because they didn't do anything. We're basically making up these things to give them credit for.
That's a really good point, because like if I was bringing back a big star that that millions of people follow and millions of fans of WWE, I would want to promote it ahead of time, at least a little bit, so they can
really drop some hard hints, like really be like hint towards it, that kind of thing. But
with the swerves, man, all these swerves going on, like they got 2 months to set up for the Royal Rumble.
Yeah, I got you.
Where the hell do I and how I go? And I know he likes the PLEs being stretched out so you can build up story to it. And you said something really interesting, that not every PLE has to be a storyline advancement, or something big doesn't always have to happen at a PLE. Because people are like, oh, well, Bray's gonna, brainwash Alexa. That didn't happen. And it was gonna happen now, and Nikki Cross is there, so it's the perfect time. That could be later on Raw, or next Raw, or 2 months Raw. I don't know.
I got you. Before I get to my answer, I want to touch on a few things that David brought up. Mia could be a dime. That's kind of what I was like. That move was so fascinating. It made me go, "Oh shit, what was that?" That was really cool. And again, going through both ropes, that's impressive. It's very impressive.
Completely zoomed through that shit.
Yeah. So that was really cool. I don't think she came out of it looking weak at all, and that's always a good thing. So all the props to Mia, and again, I think she could be really good for him. I don't think she's a top material, but you don't need to be. That's not everything you need to be. And maybe she surprises me and she does it. I don't know, but she's really good, and she showed it last night.
Sold me.
The men's had
I'm sold on
counterparts that built, and yeah, that's kind of what I was getting at. There was 5 girls who should have been in that match and 5 girls who shouldn't have been in that match, and that's why it just came across as a more of action thing based on story. There was really no story left. And then this part, they don't lose. They do not take pins as the champs. They haven't, and to my memory, they haven't lost while they're champions. They've lost when they weren't champions, and the fact that they didn't get pinned by Alexa, they didn't get pinned by.
You got pinned by the man.
They got pinned by the man, Becky. That's okay. In this scenario, your tag champ can take that. It's not a tag team match. It's a war. And you're in there with literally the best of the best and the GOAT, Becky Lynch. And that's who you had to take the pinfall to. Not that big of a deal. I'm not looking at being like, man, my tag champions look weak now. I'm just thinking like, okay, they just, the team got ousted. Not, well, I don't even know which one it was. Was it Dakota or Mia or Io?
It was the one on the outside, which I think was Dakota.
Okay.
Because she was furthest
from
her.
So if Dakota, I couldn't even remember who did it. I just remember Becky Lynch won. And that's why them taking a loss here is not a big deal. And again, they've never lost while champs. So that's not a big deal when they're losing when they're not champs. They have to lose them at one point to lose the titles. So we've seen them lose. It's not a big of a deal. Anything associated with Bray is going to be a slow crawl, which will include Alexa, which we will get to. Mia has 3 matches in my top 11 for 2022. I remember I've seen 2 of her Impact matches. Probably one of them might be the Queen of the Mountain. That was cool. She was impressive in that as well. It basically ladder match, anything goes, tables and all that. It was a crazy match. If you can ever find it and check it out, it's really cool. It was at Slammiversary. What was it called again? I literally just said it.
Well, Dave may send me a link.
Dave's about to send the name of it at least. Queen of the Mountain. Slammiversary Queen of the Mountain match. It was very fun. And as he said,
like the hookup, man. He gives you links for everything. I love it. Dave's
WWE
awesome.
never teased Sasha one, and yeah, exactly. So that's why they should. If she showed up, they shouldn't have got credit for her showing up because they didn't tease it or anything. They just said we were holding off, and here she is. So it's like, yeah, you delivered Sasha, but there was nothing promoting her being there. So when she doesn't show up, they shouldn't get ripped, I guess is what I'm saying. It sounds weird saying it.
No, that makes perfect sense because this wasn't like, hey, it's going to be a surprise. If it's a surprise, it's a surprise. Then you're happy. Shut up. But if they didn't hint at it,
yeah,
don't curse them for it because they never hinted at it. There wasn't even a peep. So that makes sense, dude. That makes really good sense.
And it's another thing. I know people will tell me I'm crazy for this, but last year for Survivor Series, they never once said anything alluding to the fact that The Rock was going to show up. All they did was say that they were celebrating The Rock's anniversary, which just so happened to coincide with the fact that the movie promoting this whole show starred The Rock. So they were hyping up The Rock in this movie that they are also promoting. And it's like, hey, we're associated with this. Let's celebrate him. Never once said, or just gave you a tease that he might show up. Nothing. And they got ran over for it. And it was like, they never said he was going to be there. They never teased it or nothing. So again, with the Sasha, they shouldn't be getting. And I did not see that much like that many people being like, where was Sasha? It was mostly just like, oh, well, it didn't happen. And they didn't say it would. So no big deal.
And that was just based off Sasha giving hints that something big's going to happen soon. Her personally saying that's still not WWE's fault.
Yeah. This is an interesting comment. Ivy, tell me what you think about this. Ivy Nile and Sasha Banks is a good tag team in the women's division.
Dude, Ivy Nile with almost anybody would be devastating. The reason why it would work well because, Sasha's soft on her promos, man. Ivy Nile is, her promo, she doesn't need to do a promo in a sense.
Yeah.
She's the believable badass. She doesn't got to say much to get the point across. So it's kind of like, I forgot who told me, like, if they paired two people and it would work really well. Oh, Ricochet and Braun Strowman. I'm like, that can work in a very weird way
Yeah.
because, you know, you ain't got to do much but be a monster and be the freak athlete, you know. So I was
Oh,
saying Ivy Nile and Sasha.
he said he changed his mind. We went into a debate. He put Sasha. He meant Shane.
Shayna and
You
Ivy.
dastardly bastard! You got us.
Well, you're gonna do Shayna and Ivy, man. You might as well just bring Nia Jax back with Shayna and just dominate everything again, because that would be a massacre. That's yeah. No one would be able to hang. No one would hang with that.
my man Jeff said this. I don't know why it's not showing the user and all that on here, but what my man Jeff said that he flip flopped so much. Jeff, he was like, man, I can't believe AEW is trying to impede on my WWE, and then all of a sudden he's like, you know, AEW is better, man, and I'm like, I never thought I'd hear that. You say that, and now he's back to WWF's better than AEW. You wild, Jeff. I know you watch it all though, man. Don't lie.
I used to say that about certain anime. Oh, I like Bleach. I like Bleach right now more than Naruto when I was watching them week by week. It's like, I don't know, man. I think Naruto's the greatest thing. And pretty much Bleach is securing that title. They are that good. And maybe he's just going through that.
But yeah, Jeff being funny. I know he yeah. See, he says right here, I do. So as long as you watching them and you supporting them, man, that's all that matters. I don't see you shitting on them. But it's crazy. He said Ivy and Shayna, and we started going off on Ivy and Sasha. And I'm not gonna lie, I actually dig that idea. Ivy could be like her bodyguard.
There you go. She already had Reginald,
because you know she's the boss. She don't need to be people messing with her. You need to go through my girl Ivy if you want to make an appointment with the boss, that kind of stuff. And then
she's the boss.
She could be presented like a legitimate badass, not like Shayna Baszler is right now. She could be presented as someone that will and can kill you, because she's just that badass. But then they could tag team and they would work. I think the styles work really well together. I think that would be really cool.
Ivy is it, dude. She had a very rough, how you say it, stiff. She had a very stiff match with Mako Satomura in NXT UK, and it was badass, dude. Like, I was like, wow, she's the real deal. So yeah, she could be a bodyguard.
I don't see this happening at all. I don't think Sasha would come back for anything like that. But the Butch essentially, but again, present her like a badass. It's not like she's just there to take Sasha's falls. You have her beating people too. You can make this angle work if you, again, just don't let the person take losses. Like Shayna, I feel so bad for now. I thought it was gonna be cool her with Ronda and they dominate and they do some cool things, but she legitimately looked like a clown last night. She was there to take all of Ronda Rousey's bumps. That it was just crazy to me, and that's sad. So
I have hope.
Do the exact opposite. If for some strange reason this world, WWE is watching this and they're like, that's a great idea. Let's get Sasha and Ivy Nile together. Give Sasha whatever she wants, and they make it happen. If that happens, we know it's not going to. It would be really cool. Just do the exact opposite of what you're doing with Shayna, like you said, or what I said. It would be really cool. But Bianca, we stretched that long. the Bianca next opponent. I saw people yesterday saying Alexa's going to turn on Bianca tonight. And I'm like, how? That would mean that Team Bayley would have had to win, which I did not see happening at all. As soon as Becky was announced as the fifth, Team Bianca was guaranteed to win that match. So if Alexa was going to turn on Bianca, that's a very dumb place to do it. You're going to turn on Bianca and then lose? That would be horrible. You look like a big ass fool in that moment. So, and there's been things where when the Bray T started, you kind of see Alexa seem more distant sometimes, or just kind of, and you saw it last. I don't know if saw it last night, but after they won, they're celebrating, they're dancing, they're doing all this, they're having a good time, and Alexa's just kind of standing there smiling, like, what the, almost like, why am I here? But she's been playing the zoned out thing ever since the Bray Wyatt, so it didn't make sense to have her turn on Bianca there. It makes no sense. So I
also think Alexa's a great actor. I love her stuff.
Absolutely, she's fantastic. So when Bianca is looking for her next challenger, somehow Alexa's in the ring with her and she attacks her. She turns on Bianca there, and then there's your next opponent. It's that easy, because they've planted seeds to make me have these thoughts. So if it happens, it's not random.
No.
Correct. Like if I'm leading towards something and it happens, that means they've done their job. It's not random. It's not the hot shot turning because they need Bianca's next opponent. No, there's seeds there. So Alexa is likely off the Brayville, so they made Becky, Bayley, Bianca, Rhea out of Survivor Series. And with Brayville, I don't think she goes to Brayville. I think it has an effect on her character, and that's what eventually causes the turn. I don't think she's going back to any kind of Bray Wyatt cult leader I don't see this Bray being that kind of person to have like influence over others. Like the Fiend character needed it. The Swamp character needed it. This character doesn't need it. So no Alexa with Bray. I just think it has an impact on her character turn. And that's how you get Bianca's next challenger, to me.
Okay, that makes sense. I will take that. I'm buying that one. But the thing I really wanted to ask you, what's up with this shit, man, with Kevin Owens and Sami tagging supposedly? People out there saying these things when people have been getting swerved the last couple of months straight. I mean, there's no way that could be solidified for WrestleMania. And y'all said it earlier. I'll say it my own way. These are main event single. These are not people that should be in a tag team. They're not built this way all year. Sami is not built to fight the Usos with Kevin Owens. The story's definitely not going that way. He just low blowed them. Yeah, I know Roman gave that look. But no, you don't. There's no way they're going. This is going to be a WrestleMania match for their tag titles. And then I heard other people saying, well, Roman's going to be fighting Kevin Owens at the Rumble. It's like, yeah, that can make sense. But you're not going to make them tag team with Sami for the Usos and like, they don't got any tag teams. I don't give a shit. WWE, that's your fault. You fix your tag team shit. You don't take away Sami and KO.
Yeah.
From something they could be doing, and definitely what Sami is doing. So don't use that argument on me. There's other tag teams. You can use Escobar and their team. You can use. I don't want to hear that bullshit, man. People need to stop saying that.
I'll say this: if Kevin Owens doesn't wrestle Roman, this is going to sound completely shocking what I'm about to say, especially if you heard what I had to say earlier. If the rumors aren't true that Kevin Owens isn't facing Roman Reigns at Royal Rumble, I think it's going to be. I think it should be Sheamus.
Thank you.
So until they say otherwise, it's Sheamus to me at Royal Rumble, because that was Team Sheamus. Kevin Owens just so happened to intertwine with a current story. Essentially, Sheamus didn't lose. Kevin Owens lost. So Sheamus has a legit gripe that, like, hey, you're not done with me, Roman. Sheamus makes more sense. Kevin Owens still makes sense. I think the Sheamus one makes more sense. So if they go with Sheamus, and then Kevin Owens never challenges Roman Reigns for the world title, unless it's in the Elimination Chamber, and somehow they make it make sense, and Roman retains at the Elimination Chamber, or someone else wins it, not Kevin or Sami. If that happens, and again, no Kevin Owens, Roman Reigns at Royal Rumble, I have to check myself with this, because I've said last week that I think WrestleMania is not more like storyline is involved, but it's more of a celebration. So you have to kind of be willing to accept certain things at times. And after the Elimination Chamber, somehow the Usos are involved in them not winning. And they said, since you took something from us, we're going to take something from you. And somehow that story comes together that makes sense, which we have the connecting dots already. So they've planted seeds for at least. And then they challenged the Usos at WrestleMania. I can't hate that.
Damn these seeds, damn these plantings.
Because it would be a celebration. The best friends finally do it. They finally become tag team champions in WWE. Something that's gone on far too long to not have happened. But for this to happen, Kevin Owens cannot wrestle Roman Reigns at Royal Rumble. That cannot happen, because if he loses, and then Sami Zayn loses at the Elimination Chamber in some way, which we have to get him away from Roman, so they have to wrestle some way, somehow they would have to, if this split happens. So, but Kevin Owens loses to Roman, and then Sami Zayn loses to Roman. They both now look kind of foolish to go after the Usos, because like, well, we couldn't do that, so let's just go for the next best thing. That's why I can't buy it.
I never thought of that.
That's why I can't buy that way. But
definitely not that way.
Sheamus, takes on Roman at Royal Rumble. Roman wins in an excellent match. I have no reason to think it wouldn't be. I agree it should be Sheamus. That would make the most sense for the story. Exactly. Thank you very much. Some people have been saying there's no story involved, and I'm like, what do you? They took Sheamus out. They beat him down and sent his ass away to the house for like 3 weeks. So yeah, there's legitimate reason for this man to hate that man. He didn't lose.
And the chairs. Stairs and chairs.
He didn't lose. So give the man his dues. Let him wrestle Roman. It'll be awesome. There's no reason to believe it wouldn't be. And then at the Elimination Chamber, you just give a soul-crushing performance from Sami Zayn that let you know, like, he literally did everything he could. And he couldn't pull the trigger on it. Like, he just couldn't finish the job. Roman, I said this a few weeks ago when we were talking about, like, Sami could lose, and it would just be to make Roman a bigger asshole. Like, you robbed us of that moment. They could just go that route, and Sami could, get the standing ovation after the match because he gave just a soul-crushing performance. We literally thought it was going to happen. They gave it to us at our fingertips, and then they said, nope.
Yeah, I may go cry, man.
Yeah, I would accept that result, though, because I would still have a feeling of it. I really want Sami to win that title. And that's what makes this that's why I'm okay with it, because at the end of this journey with Sami, it just didn't happen. And some people it's just not meant for. And whereas I hate the fact that it's happening, I really enjoyed the ride. If that makes any sense, as to how you can accept him not winning it.
It makes sense. My feelings are hurt, man. Whatever.
It is.
I got really depressed right now. That was a bullshit.
Hold on. And Sheamus has earned that match. I got him a tie for 10th for the year. But yeah, I know we don't like those kind of endings. We really don't. But the fact that we feel so passionate about him winning it, and then he doesn't, but it's not in like some cheap ass way. Like, he really went out in a blaze of glory. Sometimes that's better than not winning it.
Yeah,
I don't want this to happen.
I'll always have hope.
I know it sounds like I'm like, I want it to. No, I do not want it to happen. I really want Sami to win.
You do. Yes, I do too.
And that's why.
But you made sense of it. Like, I was already prepping myself for these emotions that come. It's like someone planning for their wedding. It's going to be a year later. God damn it! I just planned for the divorce. Great. But anyways, The ride would be great. You're
and
right.
then,
The ride is great.
And
That'd
then through an allegiance, because they really just want the bloodline taken down, and they really believe that whoever challenges Roman is going to dethrone him. They want to do their part and take out the Usos, and they do it together because of the history. That story would make sense to me going in, so I can't sit here and say I would hate Sami and Kevin Owens tag teaming at WrestleMania. If they gave me the proper story, I can accept it.
Okay.
I don't want it, though. Don't misconstrue my words. Anybody who watches this, you Wrestle Buddy fools talking about it, you'll bring it up. No, sir. I want Sami Zayn to win the damn title. I want it so bad.
Yeah.
And that's why, oh man, this is going to be a really, really, really awesome ending, or a fucking horrible, terrible, sad ending for me.
Like I said, like I want the baby face, because he's like the baby face for me. Like he is the guy, the face for me of wrestling. And it's been so entertaining. And if he wouldn't have emoted all the time and got my emotions involved of wanting to see, like when they tore that shirt off him, man, I cried. I couldn't help it. I was like, this shit hurts to watch. They're doing it now. They're gonna kick him out. And then I think you're right, man. Like I said before, if Roman could, be the bad guy and hurt us in some kind of way with that dirty look he gave, he's definitely gonna hurt us somehow. I'm just hoping by Elimination Chamber. We got like 3 months to get there, man. Let's play this shit out early so we can get to that match. Yeah. Sorry.
No, yeah. If Sami and KO get the tag titles, that does not exclude Sami from getting a run with the World or Universal at some point, which will likely happen to what he's done with the Bloodline. The only thing that I don't see Sami as being that kind of character. I don't think there's any wanting to get revenge. Absolutely 100%, one way or the other. I see him wanting to get revenge, and it should be the ultimate prize, because it would be the ultimate. It would be yes, you have to do it. You literally have to have Sami beat Roman at this point. That's my opinion. I'm standing firm on that. If it's anyone but Sami at this point, I'm going to be severely
strike while the iron is hot. The iron is freaking blazing hot. The barrels are red on fire. But this is the time.
Again, I can accept the right story. You have to give it to me. And if they won the tag titles, I think that would be it. I think that would be, and then I would have to assume that Roman is dethroned not that much longer. So the empire crumbles. That's the story we're waiting to unfold. So if they're a part of that by removing the tag titles from them in the right way, I can accept it. Don't you dare do it, though. Don't you fucking dare do it. Solo dethroning Roman is an idea I have not even begun to think of. But holy shit, would that put him at a very, very high level.
Well, you did kind of say that, about the split, the possible split of decaying over time. Like Solo was the last one still hanging around.
But for him to dethrone Roman from the titles is like a whole other level to me, I think.
Yeah, I would think that's a little too soon.
That would be nuts. If they
give that boy at least 2 more years.
If they have the balls to do it, I'm willing to watch, because the story has been perfection so far. So why not see what they do with the sequel? I mean, that would be nuts.
That was why Solo was so quiet, as being the outsider.
Yeah, just man, I can't wait to knock that dude out.
but remember how Roman's been going? That's what I caught from it when you said that. I thought, how Roman's been going into the SUVs, going out to party trips. No, it's just me and Solo. And Solo's kind of been there. And Solo hasn't been chummy with Sami lately. It's more like Solo's just, he knows his role talking to Roman. You take my orders kind of thing. And I think he knows what Roman was. I think he knows the idea of where Roman's going with this in the long run. Jimmy and Jay may not know, because they just follow orders. But I think maybe that's why Solo's just sitting there and Roman gives that look. Maybe that's it.
Bro, the dots that just connected for this is just crazy, because you're bringing that up right after he says Solo dethrones Roman, and I'm like, I've never even thought of that being a possibility. I could see Solo overthrowing Roman from the Bloodline for sure. But to have him overthrow him, like to take the titles off him, is just again a whole other level of craziness that I'm not even. I'm willing to watch, dude. That would be absolutely nuts. And with what you're saying is, he's just it's just me and Solo, and Solo's just kind of like taking it all in. He's being mentored, and then you know what happens to these young mentors? Sometimes they get cocky, and they just say, "This is my world now." The story for that is fucking brilliant.
That could be there too, for sure.
It obviously wasn't a North American title, that's for damn sure. They said, "Nah, we gonna need that thing back, man. You rented it, but it's ours."
But we got something better for you. We're gonna put you in the Bloodline. Don't worry about the North American title.
Yeah.
Maybe you're gonna, kick Roman in the head when he isn't looking. I don't know.
I mean,
or push Sammy down the flight of stairs after he beats Roman. Who knows?
Again, I know why Solo is there. Like, I know that Solo is there to eventually be the new Bloodline. Like, I get that, but so soon. And again, to dethrone him from not only his empire but his whole world, taking his titles and his bloodline. That would be wow.
So you just blew Jimmy's mind, because Jimmy just a minute ago was like, if it isn't Sammy, I can't see who. And then you just made him think about it.
I can see it. The perfect story has to happen. Because Sammy needs to win the damn title. Make no jokes about it. But again, I guess being a logical fan, that's where my head goes. Like, you give me an idea and I'm like, yo, I can actually get behind this if a good story is told. So why not? Like, I think that's describe me best. That's how you describe me the best. Is just that's why I can like stuff, is because I think of a way as to why I can like it. Like, maybe that's crazy, but I enjoy it. So who cares if I'm crazy?
Yeah, I'm more of a fan-minded person, man. Like, y'all can do analytics and all this stuff. I turn the logic off on purpose most of the time. I mean, because I want to be able to sit back and feel something. That's why I connect with Sammy. I mean, like, I'm a very emotional, intelligent human being. Not that I'm great at emotional intelligence, but that's what I pick up on. I gotta get that vibe. So I turn a lot of the logic off at times, but that's why I like hearing you talk and be like, okay, tell me who's Bianca gonna fight next then? Because I feel like she's running out of opponents already. So that makes more sense with Alexa. So I mean, like, you can logically make those steps, but for me, I'm definitely fanning it up. I love being just a fan. I can't think too hard.
I think planting seeds might be why I get emotionally invested on things, is because I'm wanting to see something happen. And if they go a different way, I'm like, okay, prove me wrong as to why my idea was worse. I think that helps me a lot.
That is definitely
prove to me that that's basically me kind of being cocky. Like, I think I can do a better job, but if you think you can do better, go ahead and show me. I'm willing to invest, and then I'll invest in what they're doing. I'm like, oh, I can see what they were doing with this. I think it describes me to a T when I'm watching wrestling. Like, I don't get over analytical unless I kind of like am not connected. I guess if I'm disconnected from a show because it's just not grabbing me, I'll start playing analytics. Like, oh, why is he doing that? And what like? But for the most part, I go with it that way. I'm like, oh, this is where I think it's going. It's not going that way. Okay, show me why. And then if it goes my way, I'm like, okay, build upon my idea. Let's see what we got here.
I see where
you're going from. Again, that might sound crazy, but again, I enjoy it. So fuck it if it's wrong. I enjoy it.
But no, that's very true, because I never thought of it. Like, I do something similar, but not like you. It's like there's people that I want to see, like, my own fantasy booking in my head, even though I have no idea how to do it. Like, how do I get Sheamus to the title? So then I'll try to analyze ways to make that work for my dream scenario. Or if I'm bored with somebody, I'm like, yo, Ricochet, man, but I love watching this wrestling. Well, how can we do something? We'll put him with Braun. I'm like, oh, well, how would that work? Then I can get more in depth with it. But mostly, man, I just enjoy the stuff that I can just easily ride with, that I really like, and I can turn it off and enjoy it. But I also do enjoy it when I need to, like you're saying. Yeah, that's a good way of putting it. I never really thought of it like that.
I mean, that might be the edible talking, honestly, but it makes a lot of sense. It makes a lot of sense. It really does.
You always make sense, man.
I appreciate that because sometimes I feel like I'm going crazy with things, and then hey, if it makes sense, then I can't be crazy. It just didn't work out in my favor.
You make the sense. You be the man. I'll be the fan. I'm the emotional monster. You know, I almost cried earlier when you told me this shit that Sammy may not even happen.
Bro, you have
bullshit,
no
man.
idea. Why you think I wear sunglasses at night?
Oh god.
I will cry if Sammy does not win the title. I have no shame in admitting it, and I know it's going to happen. I'm going soul crushed.
Oh, oh man.
Hell yeah, this match is going to be awesome. No, Prince Puma is his underground luchador underground persona. And I was thinking of Prince Puma because we've seen Ricochet Escobar before, and it was in Lucha Underground. I'm pretty sure I've seen that match, and it was awesome.
Well, it's going to be badass. I'm still,
Oh yeah. Give me that match. That's going to be awesome. And if you could somehow get him Prince Puma, go ahead and give it to him. Like, give it back to him. Like, give him something. I know Prince that Puma song, bro.
It's actually kind of a good name when I think of it. Prince Puma. It's not bad.
Yeah. Man, I'm not that young. I know this song. But yeah, Prince Puma. He wore a tiger. I think it was a tiger mask. But give him a persona. I ain't gonna ever argue with that. He needs something. That's for damn sure. Cody Rhodes. He says Cody Rhodes returns to the Royal Rumble, wins it, and beats Reigns at WrestleMania for the Undisputed Universe. Do you guys think this can happen? I do think it can happen, but holy shit, you better give me a good enough reason as to why Sami Zayn didn't win it. That's for damn sure.
Like Jimmy was saying earlier, I have a really great idea that makes too much sense with all these stupid seeds you're planning. You better make Cody Rhodes seem like way more of a valuable story, and especially to beat Roman Reigns when Sammy's right there.
just to quickly prove why Cody could happen and make sense. If Sammy does not win the title and Cody wins so you go the road of Cody Rhodes winning the Royal Rumble and challenging Roman Reigns at WrestleMania. There is a story to be told. The Bloodline has literally dominated the world title scene. Cody Rhodes' father is the one thing that was just kind of dangled in front of his face like a carrot, and it never happened. And the Rhodes name just kind of went down. So while they're eating all good, Cody Rhodes is here, and he's here to dethrone the greatest threat that this Bloodline has ever had on WWE. Like, they've had it on a chokehold, man. And now Cody Rhodes here to fulfill that one dream his father never achieved, to make him proud. Like, that's a story. You have it.
Yeah, that's true.
There is something you could do. And
SummerSlam.
Again,
later.
I'm just saying that I think that story needs to be. I think that story would need more than 2 months or 3 months, though. I think you'd have to do a lot of quick work there, but you could do it. The Royal Rumble, I guess, would be the best thing to do. I'm cool with that. I'll pop so damn hard if Cody Rhodes wins. I'm not gonna lie. Sami Zayn better be champion though. That's all I'm gonna say at the end of it. And just to touch on this, I know I'm overboard here, but we're gonna touch on this quick because I don't feel like many people have talked about it. Randy Orton apparently had a fusion in his back.
Yeah,
that's bad. I legitimately think that he is finished as a full-time wrestler.
Yeah, I was saying, like Dave was saying, I hope he goes to NXT to go train, man. Like, train these people.
I don't know, even like that sucks because literally earlier this year I was saying that if he lasted another 10 years, could you say he had a more successful career than The Undertaker? And I think he had a legitimate claim to do so. And now it's not going to happen. It's literally not.
So it's a very high chance this is just pretty much over.
I'd be shocked if he returns. And here you go. Randy is likely done as a full-time performer after a spinal fusion. It's a move he just can't be doing. So
yeah.
I'm not saying we'll never see him wrestle again. I do think down the road you could see him wrestle, whether it be one or two. I don't know. Maybe he comes back for one match. I think that is very possible. But as a full-time performer, done. Like that, and that's kind of crazy to me that it wasn't, I guess, a bigger deal amongst people.
Because I mean, well, it's a big deal to me for one reason. It's just that, like Bobby Lashley, he was always in shape. He'd be doing his stuff on Twitter, like showing videos of him working out or talking about him working out and all this other stuff. I'm like, yeah, that dude has had the same body for the last 20 years. It looks no different. That dude's in great shape. And I'm like, I watched how he wrestled with Edge, and I was like, I can really see this guy going another 2 to 7 years. You know, I would never think he would need a surgery, man. It's like, it kind of goes to show it is wrestling. Something can go wrong. Or it's real life, man. You can fall down a flight of stairs, man. I mean, but shit.
And first, Orton and Taker was one of my favorite feuds of Randy's as well. Yeah, it was kind of the feud that was like Randy Orton. Y'all need to get used to him. And then Mark and Randy are very different wrestlers, so it's hard to comparison in that sense. To an extent, I think you're right. Like, who had more success? Randy had more in-ring success. Undertaker had more kind of overall success. But if he was to continue at the trajectory he was at for the last 3 years, because I mean he's in his 40s, like I'm not quite sure how old he is. He's
41, 42, something like that.
So for him to go, like we look at Chris Jericho, he's still going. So and Randy's in great shape. Like he hasn't really slowed down that much. So to think he could have gone another 10 years, kind of prolonged a little bit, have fewer matches here and there, but he could have still went for another 10 years. I think you could have looked at it as like when you think of best, he would at the very least be on Undertaker's level, which is a kind of a crazy thing to think about.
Yeah, I can see that. So this is not possibly another swerve that, and someone's wrong about this report about the fusion thing, or did Randy just come out and just say it?
I think the news broke. It was. Here's my thing. I know people hate journalists and all that because they don't really have good sources and all that. If it comes from Sean Ross Sapp, I tend to believe it.
Oh, okay.
I tend to believe it. They're very, very good and accurate for the most part. And just this, and then we'll go. Randy could have been knocking on the door of 17 had he stayed healthy. Exactly. I mean, if he would have beat Roman last year at SummerSlam, like we thought we were going to see Roman and Randy, and if Randy had dethroned him, that would have been a very cool moment. It would have not been good long run, but it would have been a cool moment. And the fact that we were literally just there, and now it's like without any warning, it's not. That sucks. So. And yeah, do I think CM Punk? No, he's coming back to AEW or he's done. Yeah, he ain't coming back soon either. It ain't coming back soon. It's gonna take some time. But with that, thank you all for watching. Went a little bit overboard tonight. That's fine because we had a lot of cool things to talk about. My head kind of went crazy with theories, so I apologize. I enjoyed them though, so
it was good.
Yeah, so. I will be back tomorrow or Monday night. I don't even know if you're watching today or if you're rewatching it later tonight. The Raw recap. Anyway, I'll be on after Monday. So join me there tomorrow or tonight, whatever it is. And we will see you next week. We don't know the topic, but tune in and you'll figure it out.